Greetings comic lovers and welcome back to Casually Comics, the channel where we chat all things comics, from reviews of comics new and old, to history, to anecdotes, to really wherever our whims take us. Comet the Super Horse can't stop macking on the ladies. When we covered the history of Comet sneakily tricking Supergirl into being with him while he was in human form, I mentioned that he had also dated Lois Lane. Well, I couldn't just say that and then not share it with you. That wouldn't be kind. For this adventure, we need to go over to the comic Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane, a comic that ran from 1958 to 1974. And oh, did this comic go places. And it actually proved to be decently popular. In 1962, it was the third best-selling comic in the US, so go Lois. Why was that? Well, having read a lot of this comic, I would say a lot of it comes down to the pure, unadulterated madness that ran throughout. This comic feels like it just threw whatever ideas it could think of at a wall and ran with them. If you had an idea about Lois, it's probably here. At times, this comic is outdated and partakes in some rather sexist tropes, but at other times, it's pure silly fun. Issue 92, where we're going, is from 1969. And this is mid-tier madness. Yes, Lois dating Comet is mid-tier. I mean, this comic's gone harder. Also in the 70s, it really tried to tackle social issues with varying degrees of success. Fun fact, Rose and Thorn debuted in this comic in issue 105 as a backup feature. Useless trivia, astound your friends, stump your enemies, bore those who are eavesdropping upon you. Now let's see how this horse gets with Lois. But before we get started, I'm Sasha, and if you're enjoying this content, you know what to do. Hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, join us on this crazy comic book journey. Incoming clickbait cover in 3, 2, 1.
Great Krypton! A magic spell has turned Lois into a centaur. She'll never be human again.
Featuring the unbreakable spell. And the polygraph test determined that was a lie. This story is brought to us by Leo Dorfman.
But we're not done baiting though, there's more.
My days as Superman's girlfriend are over. Since I've been turned into Super Philly, my future is with Super Horse. Lois is out on assignment to cover a rocket launch, which is happening in the aptly named Satellite City. I assume they just pass on all other events.
Hey, we don't want to hold your music festival here. Get out. What do you think this is, Concert City?
They're going to fly this rocket through an artificial comet. Artificial because Superman's gonna find a rock in space and throw it at it. This is so they can see what would happen if they encountered a real comet. I'm so glad Superman had time for this. However, Lois did some sightseeing out in the desert and is now miles away from anything, both her motel and the city. And at this point, her car breaks down and Lois came out here with nothing, not even water. She was in no way prepared for anything.
Sun's a blowtorch. Can't take much more of this. I'm blacking out.
May I just interrupt this moment of peril to say I love Lois's outfit. I would wear that, not to die dramatically in the desert, but just in general. But as she collapses, a figure crosses her vision, some kind of magical caped horse.
No, Lois, it's no dream. You've been rescued by Comet, the Super Horse.
Comet takes some time to think about how hot Lois Lane is, literally and figuratively.
It's Lois Lane, the girl Superman loves. And no wonder, she's lovely. I was with some wild horses in the hills when my telepathic power detected her mental distress.
He's just out there seeing which ladies need rescuing. On to you, Comet. Yes, Comet is telepathic, and if you ever forget, even for an instant, these stories are so happy to remind you. He uses said power to learn which hotel Lois is staying at and takes her back there. And he leaves her dazed and disoriented on the beach, you know, like a real hero. Because of all of this, Lois never actually made it to her assignment, and she didn't get the shots that she needed. But that's not the important part of this story. The important part is that the Comet is now in play. Comet the Super Horse had a spell cast on him by a sorcerer from another planet that turns him into a man, albeit without superpowers for the duration of it passing through the solar system.
I can't let anyone see my transformation, or my secret would be revealed. I'll hide in that ghost town near the spot where I found Lois. Nay.
Thankfully, this ghost town still has some clothes he can borrow. Fancy clothes too. But as always when this happens to him, he's gonna need a job. And the clothes there are theater clothes, so he decides he's gonna go with that. He got the shirt with the ruffles. Fashionable. He uses Lois's Jeep to get back to the motel and starts his life as a man once more.
My name's Bill Byron. I have a magic show that would wow your guests.
Bill Byron is definitely a step up from Bronco Bill in terms of naming yourself. And it makes sense he would want to use his name from back when he was a centaur. Yes, for those who missed our last episode, he was a centaur.
I owe you a favor for returning that Jeep. I'll give you a tryout during the dinner show. If you click, I'll book you for a week.
I want to get a job just like that. Hey, I've got some YouTube videos you won't believe. I'll book you for a week. Of course, Lois is at the dinner where Byron performs. He is for some reason a magic expert, and she is impressed. As the act ends, Byron is shown to Lois's table because all the other tables are booked, and she's supposed to be sitting with Clark, but he's not there yet, so she's got an open seat. Convenience. You know, late, throwing comments into space and all. Byron is even handsomer close up. That's just a theme throughout all these Comet Becomes a Man stories. He's supposedly just like brain-meltingly handsome. Lois and him proceed to chat, and while she tells him that she was impressed by his act, she also was able to figure out how he did everything.
So you're brilliant as well as beautiful. How did you learn the tricks of my trade, Miss Lane?
How did she learn them? How did you learn them? I have questions, Comet. The only explanation is I spent time on a planet of sorcerers, but that's sorcery, not parlor magic. It's simple. As a news reporter, I once covered a magician's convention. Ah yes, revealing magician's secrets. Breaking news at 11. Byron then recalls his backstory. Cliff notes. He was a centaur who defeated Cersei's rival, Maldor. She gave him a potion to turn him into a man as a reward, but her rival, Maldor, swapped the vials so he was turned into a horse. Cersei gave him pity superpowers because she felt bad. Then Maldor imprisoned him on an asteroid in space till he was freed by Supergirl's rocket and eventually became her super horse. This comic took 3 pages to say the same thing. Take that, issue 92. Suddenly Byron's reverie is shattered. To his complete surprise, he's picking up telepathic impressions, which he shouldn't be able to do because that doesn't normally happen when he's in human form. He rationalizes it by thinking that it must be an artificial comet, so it's affecting his powers differently, okay?
It's those 2 diners. My mental powers tell me they hate Lois Lane. They plan to kill her.
And he's learned something even more disturbing. They're the ones who made her Jeep break down in the desert, so they've already tried. In a move more shocking than the sabotage itself, Comet tells Lois that she's in danger and that something is going on. And then he rushes over to expose them using magic. He gives them some flowers with sneezing powder on them, and their sneezers are so powerful they knock off their wigs and the color off his hair. It's Dr. Tolan and his wife. Clark and I helped convict them for stealing military secrets. I heard they're out on parole, and we would have gotten away with it too if it weren't for you meddling magicians. And also out on parole after stealing military secrets? Sure, Jan. Oh, I'm shaking. How did you know they planned to kill me? Are you a mind reader? And then Comet stunned me. I don't even know who he is anymore.
Byron is my identity only when I'm human. Actually, in my normal shape, I'm Super Horse. Let me explain.
And he does. He tells her absolutely everything. Like, am I reading the right character? What happened? Is this a parallel universe? Whose man's is this? Did he also tell her about the not telling Supergirl part and making out with her? Probably not. You risked your life to save me and told me your secrets, which not even Superman or Supergirl knows. Why?
Because in the short time I've known you, I've learned to love you.
Yes, love. Is that what the kids are calling it these days? Byron, you're so sweet. This is wild. Maybe he's a super horse, but this handsome human identity of his really turns me on. Ah yes, love. Did they not give her any water when she got back to the motel? Because Lois still seems really thirsty. Also, what was going on with the lighting in these 2 panels? It got real softcore up in this section. But Byron cuts their makeout sessions short to be sad. What's the point of doing anything? He's only gonna be a man while the comet is passing through. I mean, that's fine. Oh right, we're pretending this is true love. And not just 2 people who think the other is extremely hot. Byron decides to attempt to use magic to ask Cersei if there's anything she can do. Poor Cersei, she's just constantly getting pestered by this man from the future, different time periods, doesn't matter where, she'll never be free. Cersei doesn't hear him, but her rival Maldor does, who is clearly a stalker because he's just hanging around her cave, picking up her calls. And he decides to use magic to travel to the future to ruin Byron's life. He has an irrational hatred of him, and some of it does seem to stem from some kind of bigotry against centaurs. Part 2. Guess this tale is so epic it has 2 parts. Also, it was just the style at the time. The chestnut mare ain't what she used to be. Think about what you did, title. Now that will forever be in my head. Thanks. Minus 10 points to Superman's girlfriend, Lois Lane.
So, this Lois loves Byron? She's too beautiful to be wasted on that half-human. She admires his childish stunts. I'll show her what real magic is.
Zero chill. None. He turns himself into a copy of Byron's that she'll go with him, shows her some magic, and then reveals himself, and is stunned that she doesn't want to be with him. What? No. So he turns her into a horse, but in the meantime, in the transition, she does briefly become a centaur, so the cover's not lying. Huzzah!
Since you prefer that super freak Byron to me, I've turned you into a super horse too. Forever.
Lois is angry and tries to trample him, for no magical transformation can dampen her spunk. But he escapes to the past, leaving her there to lament her fate. But he also gave her superpowers. Like, why did he give her superpowers? Why didn't he just make her a regular horse? I mean, Byron's gonna turn back into a horse, so he kind of just made her the perfect companion. He's really bad at this. Lois is observing Byron as he looks for her because she never came back to the hotel, and she even saves him from a pack of wolves. Tale as old as time. But alas, his time as a man comes to an end and the comet leaves the system.
But at least now I can use my superpowers to find Lois. She must be out here in the desert somewhere.
Both Lois and Byron end up joining the same pack of wild horses, which then get herded, rustled by a bunch of criminals who forgot what decade it was and what comic they're in. But super filly Lois doesn't hold back.
Gods of Olympus, it's the filly who saved me from those wolves. And she's super. Who can this beautiful super creature be? I'll use my telepathy to read her thoughts.
Lois who? This super horse must be Byron. I'll try to speak to him mentally. But the powerful telepathic thought waves clash. Their telepathy seems to cancel each other out, so they can't communicate. I mean, there are other ways that Lois could show her identity. Comet managed to explain to Supergirl that he knew everything without being able to fully communicate with her at first. So there were ways, but I mean, whatever. Horses frolicking romantically. Meanwhile, with Superman, yes, this story actually has Superman in it, he's bringing the frame of the rocket back as a souvenir. For the scientists, not himself. I mean, although, if he moves some of those valentines from Supergirl out of the way, he can probably fit it in the Fortress of Solitude. But then, out of nowhere, kryptonite meteor. How does Clark live his life? I would be so on edge. Just everywhere it seems like there's kryptonite. Walks down the street, trips kryptonite. Conveniently, as he plummets to Earth, it's where the super horses can see. 2 super horses? Must be delirious, suffering from shock. I'm not paying to feed 2 super horses. Clark Kent, 1969. But as he looks into the pond before him, Cersei begins talking to him from the past, which he does not think is a sign of delirium. Not like 2 super horses. He's gotta lie down. So she tells him that one of the horses is Lois, his girlfriend. And so he's desperate to return his girlfriend to human form. Superman creates a rainbow that causes her to transform back into human form because for some reason, a pure rainbow hitting her is the only thing that will turn her back. It also causes plot convenience amnesia, so she won't remember the time that she was a super horse or how quickly Byron ditched her. I mean, how she'll never know that their love was meant to be, for they cared for each other in human and horse form. And so Comet sees Lois return safely to the hotel, and is all, thank the gods, my beloved is safe. Where was that energy when you were creating giant snowballs with the super filly? Lois can't find Byron and figures he must have turned back into a super horse and vows she'll never forget him or reveal his secret. Clark leaves to throw one comet through space, and this happens. This story was silly off the wall fun. It did not get under my skin like the Comet Supergirl stories did. Byron told her. He told her before anything romantic happened. Lois went into this with her eyes wide open, staring at his face, so handsome that it doesn't even matter that 95% of the time he's a horse. I'm still baffled by these 2 red light district style lit panels though. So what did we learn? We learned that Byron can tell the truth, he just chose not to with Kara. Lois is extremely thirsty and Clark/Superman is oblivious. If you deal with someone magically, even in the past, it will not stop them from contacting you in the future. Good life lessons all. I thought the story was fun. It made me laugh, so I wanted to share it with you. What did you think of it? Let me know down below. And while you're down there, please do all the YouTube things. Like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell notification so that you never miss a vid. Thanks so much for taking some time out of your day to spend it discussing comics with me. I always appreciate it, and I'll see you again soon. Bye-bye.